for me is like a new beginning, closer to the college, closer to the girls' church. I see a lot of future there, which is really great.
Well, I got to run to my next appointment.
Okay.
I want to say thank you guys for having me over. I think these are much more important conversations to have in person. And thanks for having me.
Thank you.
Thanks for giving me the opportunity.
Cool. Get you out of here on time, and
Thank you.
We'll be in touch.
Hey besties, can you believe this? Robyn Brown and Kody are gearing up to spin more stories this week in the new episode, this time about their so-called dream house that they purchased last year. And honestly, we need to talk about it because what Robyn says and what's real are two completely different things. Robyn has been telling everyone that this $2.1 million property is a new beginning for her, a clean slate, a place to finally feel at peace. But here's where it gets interesting. When Robyn first joined the show back in 2009, she was living in a small apartment in St. George. From there, she moved into a rental house and then into several more homes after that. This is now her 7th or 8th move in just 15 years since the show started airing. If you break that down, that's roughly one move every 2 years, sometimes less, sometimes a little more. The longest stretch they ever stayed in one place was in Las Vegas. They owned those homes from 2012 to 2018. But even then, they packed up and left before the houses were sold. So, realistically, this new property marks her 8th or possibly 9th home in 15 years. And honestly, I'd bet good money this won't be their final stop either. Robyn's been calling it a fresh start, which is pretty ironic because just last week, she said herself that wherever you go, you take your pain with you. She's not wrong there. A new house doesn't erase old problems. Now here's another layer. Their realtor actually represented both sides of the deal, acting as the listing agent and the buyer's agent. Basically, double dipping. And this house they just bought, it's already proving to be more of a headache than a happy ending. The property has switched owners multiple times, and that alone should make anyone pause. The irony runs deep. This exact house has been sitting on the market for a long time. Since it was built in 2002, it's had 5 or 6 different owners. In fact, since 2018 alone, it's changed hands 3 times. And do you want to know where it's located? Right in a part of Flagstaff, where there's an active cinder mine nearby. This is where things get serious. Remember how Kody and Robyn always claimed they couldn't risk being exposed to COVID? How they constantly talked about Robyn getting pneumonia, and how Solomon once had RSV as a child. Well, the house they just bought is in an industrial zone, tucked inside a small residential subdivision that sits only about a quarter mile from that mine. For anyone unfamiliar, a cinder mine extracts volcanic rock. And this one, known as Sheep Hill, is one of the last active cinder mines in the region. It's also been a long-standing environmental problem in the area. Locals have complained about loud noise, constant dust, air pollution, and respiratory irritation for years. And here's the kicker. If you look at a map, their new house is literally at the end of a cul-de-sac on a dead-end road. Behind it, nothing but that mine. No buffer zone, no green space, no distance. Just the mine. Let's talk ownership history. The house was built in 2002. Its first sale happened in 2009. Then again in 2012. It changed hands again in 2017, once more in 2020, and finally landed in Kody and Robyn's name in 2024. That's 5 owners in about 2 decades, and for a luxury property in Flagstaff, that's not normal turnover. One of the biggest reasons for this rapid ownership change is the mine's proximity. This mine is part of a larger network of long-running cinder pits in the San Francisco volcanic field, located just east of Flagstaff. The facility extracts black and red volcanic cinder used for landscaping, construction, and road surfacing. These pits have been operating for decades, and they've created serious air quality concerns. When the mine is active, it produces massive dust plumes during excavation, screening, and trucking. The Arizona Department of Environmental Quality and Coconino County Public Health Services have received many complaints about air pollution, truck traffic, and exposure to fine particles coming from Sheep Hill and nearby mines. The dust they generate isn't harmless either. It contains fine volcanic ash, silica, and trace metals. Long-term exposure can cause airway inflammation and contribute to chronic respiratory conditions like asthma and bronchitis. And unfortunately for the Browns, the prevailing winds in this area blow west and southwest, directly toward their new neighborhood. So even if they keep their doors closed and air purifiers running, dust will still settle on and around their property. That explains why when the home was originally built, it was a light color, but now, years later, it's noticeably darker, likely from constant dust exposure over time. The more you look at it, the more ironic this purchase seems. Robyn and Kody, who've repeatedly insisted on strict health precautions, have bought a house right next to an environmental hazard. It's the exact opposite of the safe haven they're trying to sell to the cameras. And let's not forget, this isn't just another house for them. This is the place Robyn claims will be Truly's home, their forever house, the place where everything finally falls into place. But when you consider their history of moving every couple of years and the very real health and environmental issues tied to this property, it's hard to believe that narrative. It's been re-sided recently, and honestly, I believe that color change wasn't just for looks, it was strategic. The siding's reddish tone perfectly blends with the red dust that constantly coats nearby homes. Anyone living within half a mile of that mine ends up dealing with layers of powder on their porches, cars, windows, basically everything outside. Besides that, the air quality dips significantly during peak hauling hours. And of course, being that close to an active mining site also drags down property resale appeal. What's wild is that their home sits close to one of the most environmentally sensitive corridors outside of protected monument land, but right next to it, an industrial mining zone. On camera, it looks private, green, and serene, picture perfect. But the reality comes with major environmental trade-offs: heavy dust, constant noise, and very real respiratory health risks. Cinder volcanic rock, when it's crushed or transported, releases microscopic particles into the air. Those particles include PM10, inhalable dust, and PM2.5, fine particles that penetrate deep into the lungs. Even though volcanic cinder itself is just inert rock, the dust often carries silica and trace minerals that irritate lung tissue. Health studies from this area have shown clear patterns: chronic coughing, frequent bronchitis, and severe asthma flare-ups. Over time, continued exposure can even lead to COPD, chronic obstructive pulmonary disease, especially in vulnerable groups. It's also been linked to cardiovascular strain and reduced lung function, even in areas without heavy industrial mining. Children, older adults, and anyone with asthma or autoimmune conditions are the most at risk. Residents living between half a mile and a mile from both the mine and the haul route tend to get hit with the worst dust exposure. Flagstaff's dry, windy conditions make everything worse. That dust doesn't just sit still, it travels. Even with windows shut tight, fine particles can sneak in through HVAC systems. People in nearby homes often have to install high-efficiency air filters and get frequent duct cleanings just to keep their indoor air breathable. Some neighbors have even reported reddish buildup around their air returns, a sure sign that the dust is getting inside. So yes, they're living in a place that's stunning to look at, but quietly brutal on the lungs. And to make matters worse, this house has a history. The last two owners didn't actually live there full-time. They used it as a rental. It's been a vacation property for years, not a true primary home. The previous owners kept it as a second home, and the ones before them did too. In fact, no one has really used this house as their main residence since 2009. They even changed the exterior from a soft tan to a deep reddish brown that matches the mine's dust almost perfectly. If you look at photos of both the mine and the house side by side, they're nearly identical in color, clearly intentional. Kody and Robyn bought it thinking they were getting a hidden treasure. But it's deceiving, beautiful on the surface, problematic underneath. They're also selling the dream that this home will give them more space. But let's look at the numbers. The main house is about 5,500 square feet. That sounds massive, but most of it is dedicated to common areas: living rooms, kitchen spaces, open lounges. There are only 4 actual bedrooms in the entire main house. There's an additional room that could function as an office or a bedroom, but it doesn't have a closet, which technically makes it an office. For context, that's exactly like my own house, 4 bedrooms and an office downstairs with no closet. It's the same size as our guest room upstairs. You typically don't use offices as bedrooms unless you absolutely have to. Then there's a separate guest space above the garage. That's where the sixth bedroom technically is, a one-bedroom unit with its own small living area and a kitchenette. So really, the main house still only has 4 bedrooms. Here's what Kody and Robyn are telling people. This is a new beginning. It's a place for the kids to come, to start over. I need a room for Truly that she can call her own. This is a chance to repair strained relationships with my adult children, a place to bring everyone together, even if it's just a dream. I want to say, hey, there's space for you. Come visit. Robyn also says they love the house because it's close to their daughter's church, and, not surprisingly, it's the same church Solomon attends. It's also near the college. But here's the catch. Kody's claim about having space for Truly is 100% false. There are only 4 bedrooms in that house. One belongs to Kody and Robyn. The others are already occupied by Aurora, Solomon, Ariella, and Brianna. And if they try to use the office as a bedroom, it's located right off the kitchen, one of the noisiest parts of the home. It has a big window, 0 closet, and offers little privacy. So if one of the kids ends up in that space, they're basically living in a converted common area. And these bedrooms aren't exactly palatial either. They're modestly sized. The house has plenty of bathrooms, 2 dining spaces, and a massive great room with a grand staircase. But so much of the square footage is wasted on open living areas rather than actual bedrooms. This layout makes sense if the house was designed as a vacation rental, not for a large blended family. If Kody truly wanted a home that could comfortably accommodate everyone, he'd need something with at least 5 or 6 bedrooms. But as it stands, there's no private space for Truly. And let's not forget, Kody doesn't even have custody of her. She doesn't spend time there. So his whole new start with space for Truly speech is just that, a speech. A performance for the cameras and possibly the court. What's even more ironic is that their previous house actually had more rooms. That mountain home had 5 bedrooms plus an office. This new one? 4 bedrooms and an office. If you've ever lived in a house where the office is used as a bedroom, you know it's not the same thing. It's a compromise, not a real solution. They're honestly not the best spaces to use as bedrooms. And that's simply because offices usually sit in busy, noisy parts of the house. If your room is right off the kitchen, mornings can be loud, and nights aren't much better when people stay up late. Plus, there's no actual closet, so you're stuck bringing in wardrobes, clothing racks, or some makeshift closet system just to make it work. The overall layout of this house, in my opinion, is just poorly thought out. It's full of open living areas, more than it really needs. Sure, the staircase is gorgeous. And yes, the space looks impressive on the surface. But functionally, it's just a massive waste of square footage. Then there's the odd little guest house. The structure is strange. It has a single, tiny bedroom, a cramped living area, and a very small kitchen and dining nook. Honestly, I'm almost certain that space is meant for Dayton. But here's what really puzzles me. Why would anyone buy a house so close to a cinder mine if they were once so worried about air quality during COVID? On top of that, why purchase a place based on the needs of daughters who are in college and will likely move out in the next couple of years? And let's talk about that. Aurora is 23, Brianna is 22, and Dayton is turning 26. That's the exact same age range Gabriel and Garrison were when Kody was trying to push them out of his house. But Robyn? She's expanding her home to give her kids even more space, like they're never expected to leave. It's honestly ridiculous. This whole, we're buying this house to create a space for Truly story? Complete nonsense. It's a made-up narrative, a flat-out lie meant to look good on camera. The truth is the house is in a terrible location and comes with real environmental problems. And I'll bet good money they won't be staying there long. Give it 5 years, and Miss Princess will be the first one complaining about the air quality. So, what do you think? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. Don't forget to like this video, subscribe if you haven't already, and hit that bell so you never miss an update. Thanks so much for watching. See you next time, friends.